Hello and welcome to the Author Webinar Series, brought to you by the Nonfiction Authors Association and Writers Conference. Since 2010, we have helped thousands of writers learn to write, publish, and promote books that make a difference in the world. If you are seeking guidance for your own author journey and want to reach your goals faster, you can learn about membership benefits, courses, and additional resources by visiting nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. We look forward to connecting with you and hope you enjoy this webinar.
Well, hello, my writer friends. Thank you for joining me today. I am Stephanie Chandler. Welcome to another free webinar from the Nonfiction Authors Association. Today, we're talking about how to optimize on Amazon so you can sell more books. As per usual, I have overloaded this presentation. I have a lot of content. I'm going to go through it pretty swiftly. Don't worry, we are sharing the recording and the slides, and I am going to stay and take all of your questions as long as it takes. So if you have questions, you're here with me live today, please put them in the Q&A. I'm going to take those at the end, and I'm sure you will have questions because this is a lot of material, but let's get rolling. So I just have to make it clear, Amazon dominates, whether we like it or not. And I will tell you, most of us in publishing have a love-hate relationship with Amazon. Amazon, we believe, sells somewhere around 70% of all books, all books. So please keep that in mind, that even if you don't love Amazon, we really need to have our books here if we want to be selling. So it's essential. So here's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to talk to you about pre-sale versus soft launch and different ways to launch a book, all about Amazon bestseller campaigns. We're going to talk about rankings, categories, and keywords. We're going to talk about Author Central and Amazon ads and some real-world examples for you today. So the ways you get your books onto Amazon, if you're traditionally published or publisher, or with hybrid, your publisher is probably handling distribution for you. If you are published with KDP or Lulu or Ingram Spark, they're typically distributing directly to Amazon for you, which is great because print on demand, they fulfill orders as they're placed. And if you're not using a print on demand publisher, or you're getting ready to publish and you're going to work with maybe a small printer, then you would set up an Amazon seller account. Now, I want to point out Amazon's used book marketplace. I get asked about this a lot. So you might notice this, whether with your own book or other books on Amazon, they always have multiple ways to purchase. So you have your main order on Prime shipping. Typically, that's coming from your publisher. Now, you'll also see used copies available. This is very prevalent. Amazon will allow anyone to sell used books on that site, including you or me. So just keep in mind, if your books are showing up in the used book category as a used book, you're not being compensated for those sales. If they're showing up as new, what's happening here is book distributors are seeing that your book is available through Ingram, which is where books are distributed, and they're listing your book for sale. It doesn't mean they're carrying your book, but if they get a sale from Amazon for your book, they will drop ship it from Ingram and you are compensated. So you're not compensated for used book sales. There's nothing you can do about that. It's like a book being sold through a used bookstore, but you are being compensated for new book sales, even if it's from a non-Amazon entity. To prevent your books from getting listed in that used book marketplace, if you're sending out review copies, and I hope you are, it's a great marketing strategy, make sure you're marking your review copies not for resale. This makes it illegal to sell that book. So I recommend that you either print it on the cover, get a stamp or stickers or something that goes on the cover and on the opening page of the book. Stores cannot legally sell a copy of your book marked not for resale. All right, let's talk about pre-sales. So there's really two ways to launch your book on Amazon. One is by putting it up for early pre-sale, which means that it's not shipping yet, but I can place an order and it will be shipped to me upon release date. Now, a pre-sale allows you to kind of build some sales momentum. It gives you a bit of a runway so that maybe you're doing a whole bunch of promotion weeks leading up to your official launch date and you want to build some of that sales momentum. You can reach the bestsellers list on Amazon while you're in pre-sale mode. You can be just getting those sales stacked up. And what happens is on launch day, all those sales you've accumulated count. So it is a strategy a lot of authors use to hit bestsellers lists on Amazon. I'm going to talk to you about those in a moment, but it can be a great way to build some momentum if you're doing a lot of active promotion. This is a strategy that I worked with Dr. Karen Gordon, we're her publisher, and she did I think a full 6 month pre-sale. And she hustled. She contacted every client she's ever had. She got them to order books. And so as a result, the Wall Street Journal, she made it to their top 100. So yes, the Wall Street Journal counts Amazon sales, but it takes thousands of sales to reach that list. It's not realistic for most people. So keep that in mind. It's not a strategy I necessarily recommend unless you can generate thousands of sales. But if you do decide you want to put your book up for pre-sale, you can do this months in advance if you want to. You do have to have some files ready. This is done through Ingram Spark. Amazon does not allow you to put your print book up for pre-sale, but Ingram Spark does. Don't ask me why. It makes no sense. You can put your ebook up for pre-sale through KDP, and your publisher should have a way to set up a pre-sale if you're working with a publisher. So if you do this, you are able to set up Amazon ads. I'm also going to talk to you about those today. Promote the heck out of it, and just keep in mind your sales will count on launch day. So there is potentially some value in that. I will tell you that I personally prefer a soft launch strategy. So this means that you quietly release the book to Amazon, but you don't tell anybody. So when you release the book, I generally like to do this maybe a week before my official launch date. And this allows me to make sure I set up everything and it looks good. I get my author central set up. I've got my author bio. I've claimed the book. I've updated the book page so that the copy looks the way I want it. Amazon does all kinds of wonky things with not shipping when it says it's going to ship. I want to make sure the book is shipping properly. And this is still a great way to hit bestsellers list. I won't accumulate thousands of sales doing this. However, if you're a type A control freak like I am, you might like to know that you've got all your ducks in a row. The other thing you can do with a soft launch is ask for book reviews. Versus pre-sale, people cannot write book reviews until the book it goes live. So with a soft launch, you could get maybe your beta readers to write some early reviews. And then a week later, when you officially announce your launch, your book page looks great, it's shipping properly, and you have some reviews on there. So deciding which works for you. If you have a larger platform and you think you can generate hundreds or thousands of sales, I think a pre-sale is a decent strategy. It gives you a lot of runway for promotion. And even if you do have a larger platform, I don't love the pre-sale strategy just because of all those things I can't control. So I prefer a soft launch. I find it less stressful. I don't need to get thousands of sales. That's not important to me on launch day. So it just also really depends on your goals. But I like to have all my ducks in a row and then announce the launch. All right, let's talk about how Amazon is ranking books. There are two rankings to pay attention to on Amazon. There's the overall site sales rank, which helps you understand how your book is selling compared to all the millions of books on Amazon. And then there's the category rank. This is the rank most of us are paying the closest attention to. And these numbers are confusing, but the goal is lower numbers mean more sales. So this is the estimated daily number of book sales that are happening based on the sales rank for any given book on Amazon. You can look on any book and see its existing sales rank. So this is the overall rank on the site. If somebody's book is in the 10 to 50,000 range, it's probably selling between 5 to 20 books a day. Again, we are estimating these numbers. Amazon does not make this information public, but based on 20 years of doing this, I would say these are pretty accurate estimates. 50 to 100,000, they're selling 1 to 5 books a day. Anything over 100,000, less than a book, one book sold per day. And again, this isn't the rank most of us care about unless you're on a reality show and you're going to hit the top 10 on the entire site, which requires thousands of sales in a single day. Most of us care more about categories. Now, every author asks me about how to hit the Amazon bestsellers list. So let me say, it's great. It's fun to be a number one seller in a category on Amazon. It is easier to do than you might think. You get this great little tag on your book page, and it's great for visibility purposes. But the thing about being an Amazon bestseller is there's no long-term value. You can hit a bestsellers list for 5 minutes on a single day, and then people are calling themselves best-selling authors. I think it's eroded the term a little bit because you can sell as few as 5 books to hit a number one bestseller in a category on Amazon, unfortunately. So I don't love this term. I've hit the bestsellers many times. I never ever call myself a best-selling author. I just know how this game works. But here's the thing. What I would love for you to aim for is to stay in the top 10 of a category on Amazon on a long-term basis, not just for an hour or a day, but on a long-term basis. And that's part of what we're talking about today and how to optimize for Amazon so that you're not just focused on that one day, but you're focused on ongoing staying in the top of your categories. So again, it's fun. It is fun to see your book hit these bestsellers. Take screenshots, capture it, use it in your marketing. It is really fun to do this. And one of my favorite examples, if you've been to my events, you've seen me talk about Mark Paul. It's hard not to talk about him. He's up to 75,000 copies sold of a self-published memoir. It's almost unheard of, but it's based on several factors. He really wrote a great book, and he figured out categories and keywords. So categories are really important. And you see here, he's number one in horse racing, number 108 in sports fiction, shouldn't even be in sports fiction, number 352 in memoirs. So the categories are what we're paying attention to. And this is how your book ranks against other books in that category. We're aiming to be in the top 10 of at least one category on an ongoing basis. And Amazon is updating these rankings throughout the day. So what at 9 a.m. is going to be different at noon, and it's going to be different at 3 o'clock. So keep that in mind, and you should check throughout the day, especially if you're in the middle of a launch. Also, each edition of your book can potentially be in different categories. There can be some value to this, but your Kindle, your paperback, your hardcover, your Audible edition can all be in different categories on Amazon. And what we're doing is we're looking for the categories where our target readers are visiting, because if I click on, in Mark's case, so the book is about him placing a bet on a filly to win the Kentucky Derby, a long shot bet months and months before she'd even qualified for the Derby. And this was back in the 80s. She ends up winning, and then he has to go collect his prize from the Mexican drug cartel. So it reads like a novel. It's a great read. It's been optioned for film. And Mark figured out the categories for his book are track betting, horse racing, sports gambling, equestrian sports. So he's figured out the categories where his book gets the most visibility. And so if I go and I click on horse racing, I'm going to see Mark's book listed in the number 4 position based on the time I took this screenshot. And what we want is to be in that top 10, because if I'm somebody who's interested in horse racing books and I click on that category, that is how your book gets discovered, right? So bestsellers in horse racing. And look at this. He has 3 different editions of his book in the top 10. That's pretty phenomenal. And he's often ahead of Seabiscuit and Secretariat, by the way. And I'm going to tell you how he did this, by the way. And so when you're in the number 1 position, you get that bestseller tag. It's great to have that tag. Again, if we're aiming to do this for an hour or a day, the tag goes away the minute you fall out of the number 1 spot, right? But while you're there, it's a great thing. He is in that position 5 years after this book has been published on an ongoing basis. So your categories are just so essential. They help your book get discovered by readers. When you publish your book, you submit what we call BISAC codes. These are basically library categories for your book. And Amazon kind of erroneously prescribes your book to specific categories, but you can go in and request changes to those categories. And so my suggestion for you is to figure out what are the most relevant subcategories where your book could be competitive. Now, if you think about this example here, biographies and memoirs, and if you drill down under biographies and memoirs, there's historical, community and culture, arts and literature, professionals and academics. And then if I click on communities and culture, I see women, Black and African American, people with disabilities, LGBTQ plus, so and so on. And so the more niche you can capture in a category, the less competition you're going to have and the better your potential discoverability for your book. So if you've written a memoir and your book is in the main memoir category, it is in an ocean, it is a drop in an ocean. But if it's in the memoir category under community and culture Pacific Islanders, you have a lot less competition in a niche category. All right, so one piece of homework I'm going to suggest that you take on is to go research your competitors' books and start making a list of what categories their books are listed in. These are my own books, book publishing industry, market research, business books, authorship reference, business aspects, nonfiction writing reference, business writing skills. Now, some of these categories I chose because they're less competitive. It's easier to be in the top 10 of these categories. So for you, what you want to do is go to Amazon and look at similar books and take note of the categories for each edition of the book. Remember the paperback, the hardcover, the Kindle, and the audio edition. And then narrow down your list. And ideally, you're looking for those nichier categories. I just made up a word, nichier, a niche category. And if you want some help with this, Publisher Rocket is a paid tool. I think it's about $100. It does offer you category research and tells you about how competitive the categories are, but you can really go and do this research on your own. And then you need to ask Amazon to change your categories. If you're published directly with KDP, you can go into KDP and update your categories. If you're published anywhere other than KDP, which most people are, then you're going to go to your free Author Central account, click on Contact Us, and they actually have a prompt for update Amazon categories. You're going to send them an email and list the categories where you want your book added. Generally, Author Central support is pretty efficient. Usually we see them update that within 24 to 48 hours. That's one of the few great customer service aspects at Amazon, by the way. You can also update your categories in other markets. Now, I honestly wouldn't spend a lot of time on this unless you have an audience in other markets. But if you're marketing to the UK or Australia or whatever it may be, you can update your categories there and send that request through Author Central. All right, let's talk about Amazon a little bit more because I really like to think of Amazon as a search engine and think about how you use Amazon, right? You want your book showing up when someone searches for a book like yours. We want to be appearing in the top 10 of Amazon's search results. Now, there are some estimates that as many as 1 million new books are being released a year on Amazon. So it is truly an ocean, and every one of us is a drop in that ocean. So we want to do the things that will help our books get ranked in the top search results when somebody searches for a book like ours. Again, Amazon doesn't publish data on their algorithms, so this is what we believe they are looking at when they decide. So if I go and I search for book on gluten-free diet, right? There's probably 1,000 books on that have something to do with gluten-free diet. So Amazon has to decide in what order are those books going to appear. And we believe what they're looking at is recent sales history. So is this book currently selling well? That helps. Sales beget sales. Click-through rate. If a book appears in search results, how many clicks is it getting? If it's getting skipped over, that means it's not getting enough clicks and it's getting deprioritized in Amazon. Conversion rate means that I've clicked the book and I've purchased the book. Amazon takes note of that and says, this book sells well. Good, because Amazon wants to make the sale too, right? They're also looking at the number of book reviews. So book reviews are essential on Amazon, and it's a goal for all of us to be on an ongoing quest to get more reviews for our books. And they're looking at the keyword phrases that you have incorporated into your book. So for recent sales history, this is telling Amazon your book is popular. This is a reason to drive buyers to Amazon because more sales mean Amazon's paying attention and saying this book is popular. We're going to give it a higher priority in search results. So the click through, if your book appears in a search result and people are clicking on it, that is a good thing. Amazon likes that. If they click out and don't buy it, Amazon doesn't like that. So you want to be converting those clicks into purchases. There's very little you can do to control this or even know how well this is happening, except maybe through Amazon Ads dashboard. But the point is, you need a great cover, a great title. You need great copy on your book page that when I land there, it tells me what the book is about, how it's going to change my life in some way so that I'm inspired to make that purchase. So it's just really important that you have all these essential details in order. Also, for your book page, you want to be thinking about what keyword phrases are people typing in to find a book like yours. And we incorporate this into the metadata. The metadata is just a fancy term for data that it gets submitted with your book when it's published. We can, as a publisher, submit 7 keyword phrases when we publish a book on Amazon. So it could be memoir about overcoming addiction, book about gluten-free living, book about aging dog care, whatever it is. Those would be the keyword phrases that describe the book. And we want to try to incorporate at least 1 or 2 of those top keyword phrases into the book sales copy, into the description of your book on your book's sales page. We can also use keywords in Amazon ads, and I'm going to talk to you about that shortly. And I see this a lot, guys, especially I'm talking to our memoir and narrative nonfiction writers. Make sure that you're using keyword phrases that describe what your memoir is about. What is the core theme? Is it a memoir about grief? Is it a memoir about divorce? Is it a memoir about mental health? Whatever it is, make sure that is in your metadata and ideally even woven into the book description, because that is how readers are looking for that type of book. So when I search memoir for grief at the top, you're always going to see sponsored results. Those are coming from Amazon ads. And then you're going to see the other books that Amazon is recommending. I thought this was interesting, Crying in H Mart, which shows up in Memoir About Grief. is number one in gastronomy essays. Talk about a niche category, right? And it is a book about grief and loss and family, and there's a heavy food theme. So the author Michelle Zauner was able to find some niche categories to take advantage of. So use your keywords wisely. Really think about what are people searching for a book like yours. And we're seeing that the big publishers, they're doing this well. And the rest of us who are self-publishing, you can compete. You can beat these big publishers simply by following these guidelines. It's really not that complicated. And I'm going to talk to you about Amazon ads. I think they're really important. One of my favorite tricks on Amazon, if you go to the Amazon search bar and you type in memoir about grief, I typed in write nonfiction, Amazon is going to auto generate the most common search phrases related to what you're typing in. This is valuable information. Take note of these because these can be part of your metadata. They could be part of your Amazon ad keywords. This is really good information, useful information. So you simply start typing into the search bar and see what other terms it's suggesting and take note of those. There are keyword search tools that you can use. Now, Neil Patel's Uber Suggest, which I really like and I recommend it. There's a free version that allows you to do, I think, a couple searches a day, and then there's a paid version. Now, this isn't searching Amazon, but it's giving you Google search results, which is also great intel. So I like to also use this as a tool to research keywords. It will give you suggestions. You type in memoir about grief, it tells you grief share book, best books on grief recovery, memoir about grief recovery. Great keywords there. Publisher Rocket, again, is a paid tool. It will help you with keyword research and category research. So if you want to spend $100, I think that's still what it's going for. That would be a helpful tool. And then Amazon's advertising platform also has keyword suggestion tools. So, homework for you is to go out and start identifying the keyword phrases that you think your readers are searching on Amazon. You can really only incorporate maybe two or three of them into your written book copy on Amazon. So, think about the most important ones, but keep a list of keywords because you can use these in Amazon ads, and they're also helpful for your website for new blog posts that you write or copy on your website pages. Keywords are how we find traffic. So this research is valuable and useful. All right, I mentioned book reviews are super important on Amazon. It not only tells Amazon your book is popular, it tells potential readers, right? The more reviews a book has, the more popular it obviously is. We believe that somewhere between 50 and 75 book reviews, once you hit that number on Amazon, your book starts getting more love. Amazon starts showing it in more search results and in recommended books and things like that. So I would set that as a goal. If your book doesn't yet have 50 reviews, set that as your goal. It can be done, I promise you. Ideally, we really want more verified purchase reviews. So that's that little tag that means that the reviewer bought the book on Amazon. You do not need to buy books on Amazon to write reviews. You only need an Amazon account and to have spent $50 on the site in the last 12 months. So you could review any product as long as you've spent $50 on the site. However, if your book is full of reviews that aren't verified, that looks suspicious to readers and it looks suspicious to Amazon. So make sure you're getting those verified purchase tags. They're just really important. You should also know Amazon has some really strict guidelines around book reviews. So, for example, if you're giving beta readers or friends or peers or anybody review copies, in order to prevent those review copies from getting removed, or their reviews from being removed from your Amazon listing, it's a good practice to have them say in their review, I received a copy in exchange for my honest review. This tells potential readers, hey, this is a book reviewer. This tells Amazon, this isn't just my personal friend. This is someone who's disclosing that they got an early copy of the book. Amazon's guidelines further state family members or close friends of the person, group, or company selling on Amazon may not write customer reviews, meaning your friends and family should not be writing reviews of your book. Now, look, let's be honest, that's ridiculous. I understand the intent behind it. Amazon is trying to crack down on fake reviews, on padded reviews. This is a good practice. I look to Amazon reviews before I buy any product. And you want to know those reviews are legitimate. So I can understand the policy. But this gets back to if you do have peers or family or friends writing reviews, have them at least put that disclaimer in, but know that it is a violation of Amazon's policy to ask for those reviews. You also cannot ask your publisher, your book editor, your book designer, anyone involved in your book production. As a publisher, I take this seriously because I don't want to get banned from Amazon. So do keep that in mind. That's an important one. And if Amazon deems reviews as suspicious, or it might be a friend or family, they may remove those reviews. So you may have 50 reviews today and log in tomorrow and only have 35. This is not uncommon. So just be aware it happens. You also cannot offer incentives for book reviews. So you can't say, write a review and I'll give you a free report. That is a huge violation on Amazon terms. So don't do that. And please never ever pay for Amazon reviews. This is a terrible practice. It will get you banned from Amazon. They will shut off the ability to review your book. So, some additional resources for you. Ask people in your community to write reviews, get beta readers, have them write reviews, reach out to industry bloggers, members of online groups you belong to, offer review copies. And the idea here is if you like the book, please write a review. That's pretty much the way to state that. For a fee, you can use book promotion sites. BookBub's been around for a long time. Free Booksy. These are very fiction-centric sites, but the idea here is that you're doing free or low-cost ebook promotions. You're making your ebook available for $1.99 for the next 2 weeks, and they put it out to their readers who follow your category, and you'll generate lots and lots of downloads. And oftentimes, these promotions lead to additional book reviews. They're not guaranteed reviews, but they can lead to that. We have a similar service through Nonfiction Book Club. And then there's editorial reviews, and I just wanted to distinguish these. These are respected review or providers, I should say, in the publishing industry. They are not Amazon reviews. However, you can put them in the editorial reviews section of your book page. In particular, Kirkus is a very popular review service. There's Book Life by Publishers Weekly, Booklist, Forward Magazine, School Library Journal. There's a whole bunch of them, but I would say the top three are Kirkus, Book Life, and Booklist. You have to spend money. They're usually $300 to $400 for these reviews, but they often get published in publishing industry guides and magazines that are followed by librarians who buy books, by publishing industry professionals, bookstores, things like that. So editorial reviews are very different from Amazon reviews, and we do pay for editorial reviews for most books. All right, one more thing I really wanted to mention is don't ask everyone you know at once to go write a review on Amazon, because Amazon will see all these people flooding to your book page and they will shut it down. They'll know that something's up. So generally, it's a good practice to maybe email 3 to 5 people a day, something like that. I would never put out an email to our entire list of thousands of people and say, hey, if you read my book, would you write a review? It would choke the Amazon system and get me in some trouble. Make sure you use the proper link when sharing your book. I see this mistake a lot. Don't copy the link that has all this erroneous text in it. Copy the clean link for your book. This does not have tracking data in it. So copy this clean link, look at your book link on Amazon and copy it past the ISBN number. That is the link you should be sharing. All right, so recommendations. I'm giving you homework today, you guys. Make a list of people and that you can ask to write reviews, give them review copies, have them disclose that they received a copy of the book in exchange for an honest review. Don't ask everyone all at once. Get in the habit of asking. So if you get an email from a reader, which is a wonderful thing, authors, it's such a joy to get an email from a reader and they're complimenting your book, say, thank you so much. Would you please write a review on Amazon? Get in the habit. I forget to do that myself. And then consider ways that you can boost reviews, like with book promos. All right, Author Central is a free tool from Amazon that you can sign up for and should sign up for the minute your book goes live on Amazon. It is a way for authors to have some control over how your book appears on Amazon. So you set up this free tool and you can claim your books and edit the copy on your book sales page. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because we don't have a ton of time today. But you go in, you can add your author bio, you can list your books, claim the books that you've written, and then go in and edit the books and update the sales copy on your book page on Amazon. So the fields you'll see there, you can add editorial reviews, product description, a note from the author. And you'll see on your book page what you have filled out in Author Central. There's my bio. It adds your author bio and it links all of your books together if you've authored a number of books. This reports and marketing tab is not very useful. We find that it under reports, so you generally have more sales than they think you do. So I recommend, if you haven't done this or if you're getting ready to launch a book, go to Author Central and claim your book the minute it goes live on Amazon, because then you have control over what it's going to look like. Get those keywords into your description. Really important. Set up your author bio. It just helps you look like a pro on Amazon. KDP Select is an optional program on Amazon for ebooks that you can opt into. But here's the thing. If you opt into KDP Select, you cannot distribute your ebook through any other platform. It cannot be on Apple iBooks. It can't be Barnes & Noble Nook. It can't be anywhere else. You're giving Amazon exclusive distribution rights to your ebook. I really hate giving Amazon exclusive anything, so I'm not a big fan of this program. But what KDP Select does is it gives you the ability to enroll in free and low cost book promotions. So you could make your ebook available for free for 2 weeks or $1.99 and put it in their promotion network. Now, this can be a way to inspire sales for a book that's maybe the sales have slowed down. I like KDP Select for fiction writers. For the first book in a series, it makes a ton of sense to give away the first ebook either for free or 99 cents and get them hooked so that they come back and write and read the rest of your mystery series or your romance series. For most nonfiction authors, we're not writing necessarily in a series, I mean, with rare exceptions. So KDP Select, maybe for the memoir writers, and once the book sales have slowed down, might be worth it. You can test it. It pays you a little bit higher royalties than other countries. Who really cares? But you do commit to 60 days when you opt in, and you have to take your other ebooks out of distribution or they will kick you out of the program. Also, under KDP Select is enrolling your book in the Kindle Unlimited and Lending Library. Instead of selling your books for $2.99 or $5.99 or $9.99, your ebooks, I should say, you're paid based on the percentage of pages of your book that people read. So if somebody gets all the way through your books, great. If they get 20% of the way through, you're paid on 20% and you're paid out of a pool of funds. There's not a lot of transparency in how these things are paid. you will just make less. You will make less on your ebook for sure. However, this can be a way to boost visibility for your book. And I do think it's useful for narrative nonfiction and memoir. All right, we're going to talk about Amazon advertising and then I'm going to take your questions. And I'm going to go through this quickly too. This is a big topic that I could talk to you for 4 hours about. So we're just going to go through it quickly. But Amazon ads are how we get books showing up as sponsored on Amazon. Sponsored books show up at the top of search results, they show up on other book pages. They're great. I am a huge fan of Amazon ads for nonfiction books. I think this is a great strategy for most of us. And I really encourage you to consider employing Amazon ads. So they are pay per click, meaning you're only paying when somebody clicks on your book. So if we go back and look at this list of book results, if I click on that first book, Track and Field Omnibook, then that is being paid for. They're paying 25 cents or 40 cents or whatever it costs per click for that ad. The click cost varies depending on how much competition there is in your keywords and in your category. So, it's going to cost a lot more to promote fiction because there's so much competition than it is to promote niche nonfiction, right? So, what I recommend for your ads is to start out with a minimum ad spend of $10 a day. That's about $300 a month. But keep in mind that this ad spend, you should be earning much of that back through your book sales. If the ads are working and they're doing their job, you're going to be generating more sales. Now, it takes a few months to really get the Amazon algorithms to kick in and perform, but ultimately you should earn back that $300 spent and then some. That is the goal, to earn back more than you're spending on the ads. So the first few months, you're probably going to spend more than you make. But after that, if you're tuning them and they're working properly, you should be earning more than you're spending. Back to my pal Mark Paul, that self-published memoir, he used nothing but Amazon ads. He has no platform. He's not a book promoter. He said from the beginning, I'm going all in on Amazon ads. 5 years into this, he has sold 75,000 copies of his book with almost no other promotion other than Amazon ads and some things that have resulted from him being so popular on Amazon. So he wrote a great book, hired great editors. It reads like a novel. Memoirs should read like a novel. He figured out the right categories, the subcategories for his books to help him get visibility. He has hundreds of keywords running on his Amazon ads: equestrian books, horse betting, track racing, and then also similar books, Seabiscuit, Secretariat, Laura Hillebrand. Those are all individual keywords that he is bidding on with his Amazon pay per click ads. He is spending $7,000 a month in ads and earning back 10,000 in sales. So the margins aren't great in publishing. We know this, right? But he's earning more than he's spending and he's selling a heck of a lot of books. And those book sales have led to some great opportunities for him. NPR reached out and did this great profile on him because they kept seeing his book here. Amazon reached out, gave him some extra exposure. The site, the book has been optioned for film. So all kinds of cool things have happened as a result of these ads. And really what we want is people reading our books, right? If you're here because you're trying to make a ton of money in publishing, I hate to break it to you, very few authors make a lot of money in publishing. You've really got to be in that top 1%. But hopefully what you're here to do is get people to read your books. And so that's what these ads can help you do. So pay per click, you're bidding on keywords. It could be 20 cents a click. It could be 40, 50, 75 cents a click. Now remember, if those clicks are turning into sales, it doesn't really matter how much the clicks cost as long as you're earning back more than you're spending. My recommendation is to aim for $10 a day. This is an example of an automatic Amazon ad that I ran, which means I told Amazon, you go figure out what the keywords are. I spent $378 and earned back $1,800 in sales. These results are not typical, but they're possible. Okay. This is one on my actual keywords that I had chosen. I spent $1,500, earned back $2,600. So as long as you're earning more than you're spending, you're coming out ahead. This is what the dashboard looks like. The keywords are listed on the left. You can toggle them off or on. So if a keyword is underperforming, you can turn it off. And you can see on the far at what your sales are and your cost of sale and what you're paying per click. I'm paying a lot on these clicks. These are some of the most popular keywords in my genre. So I'm paying $1 a click, 93 cents, 91 cents. So they have to be worth it to me. So to get these set up, this is a lot, you guys. I know we're going through this really quickly, but you want to come up with those keywords, search terms readers would use to find you, competing author names, competing book titles. If I go and search for Seabiscuit and I'm Mark Paul, I want my book showing up there, right? So you want as many as possible, make a spreadsheet, do this research or buy that Publisher Rocket software. And then if you want to hire this out, which many authors do, there are two companies I currently recommend. BookGeeksMedia.com is run by Janet Margot. She's a former Amazon employee, and she does I think it's like a one-time consulting fee to help you set up your ads, and then she hands them over to you to maintain them. And then there's Lawrence O'Brien at booksgosocial.com. He will manage your ads for you. His rates are very affordable. He's also speaking at our conference next week. So if you want to learn more about ads, we are covering that next week. So Amazon ad success, get your book page dialed in. Make sure you're incorporating keywords, keyword phrases. Set a goal to get 50 book reviews. I know it is not easy. People have good intentions and then they forget to write those reviews. Remind them it's okay. Test Amazon ads and give them time to perform. Don't shut them off after 2 weeks. They need a good 3 months for all the Amazon magic to kick in. Use at least 100 keywords and aim for $10 a day if you can afford that. You can also do $5 a day and adjust them as you go. But audit your book page. Does your cover look good? Is your sales copy convincing? Does it make a reader want to read it? That's really important. And you can adjust that content anytime through your Author Central account. So next steps, get your keywords in line, claim your book in Author Central. For your next book launch, decide if you're going to do a pre-sale or soft launch. Optimize your book page using all these tips we've just gone through. Choose your 3 categories for each edition of your book, Kindle, paperback, hardcover, audio, and then aim to get reviews on an ongoing basis and use those Amazon ads. Whew. Okay. I know that was a lot. I hope you got some good nuggets there. Please put your questions for me in the Q&A box. Chat is so overwhelming. Please put it in Q&A. I am going to take all of your questions. And before I do that, please give me 2 minutes. I just want to tell you about our conference. If you don't yet know, or maybe you've heard, next week is our 16th annual Nonfiction Writers Conference. It's a 3-day event, May 6th through 8th. Our events have been running entirely online since 2010. I'm very proud of this. It is really a unique event. We have a ton of speakers. Sessions are delivered live. So there's Q&A with the speakers. Mark Paul will be there talking about how he's used Amazon ads. You'll recognize a lot of these folks from examples I've shared with you, but we're covering things like speaking to sell your books, optimizing on Amazon, book launches, publishing options. There's so much happening over a 3-day period. We also have live literary agent pitches, and we're accepting applications for these through this Sunday. If you're aiming to pitch something to agents, this is a really cool opportunity. We've had many book deals coming out of these live pitches on Zoom. And then for the first time ever, we're doing a post-conference strategy session. So I will lead this the following Tuesday after the conference. It is just a chance for conference attendees to gather, get remaining questions answered, maybe do some brainstorming, set intentions. I know as a conference attendee, I leave conferences with all these notes and then I'm like, now what? Right? So we're going to talk about what do you do next? How do you prioritize what your next steps are from everything you've learned? So, tons of benefits for attending this event. And by the way, for those of you on this live event, if you've attended the conference in the past, would you put a shout out in the chat and let people know why you liked it? That's always helpful to hear from real people instead of just from me. But our sessions are live, recordings are available, transcripts are available. We have a really fun virtual networking event. Look, you guys, believe it or not, I am an introvert. I do not love this stuff, but this event is fun. It's facilitated. I think you'll enjoy it. There's one-on-one consultations available. There's still sessions available to book. So lots of value. Best conference I've ever attended. Presentations are packed. This is the kind of stuff I hear over and over again. And the other one I hear a lot is I didn't think I'd want to sit on Zoom all day, and I'm glad I did. So I can also appreciate that if it sounds awful to sit on Zoom all day, let me tell you that our challenge, and I take this very seriously, is to make it great to sit on Zoom all day. So, learning new skills, you'll develop relationships with attendees. It's a ton of fun. I am so excited for this event. I look forward to it every year. We are done with early bird discounts, but I do have a discount code today for those of you who maybe procrastinated or you're just hearing about it for the first time. You can save 10% off with the code webinar10. And the link is nonfictionwritersconference.com. I would love to see you there. All right, let's get to your questions. Hopefully you're putting them in the Q&A box for me. And I'm really hoping that all was helpful. It would also be helpful if I could find our Q&A box. Bear with me here. Zoom keeps moving everything. Here we go. All righty. Christy says, I love the soft launch strategy in my nonfiction book proposal. Should I describe a pre-sale campaign to signify to a potential agent that I expect higher sales than is really likely? So, if you're working with a publisher, Christy, they're going to set the launch strategy, to be honest with you. So I don't know that pre-sale versus soft launch is so important to them. Honestly, agents and publishers are more interested in the size of your audience. So I don't know that is a big selling point. Sunny says, on the gambling book, how can it be in fiction and memoir? Because Amazon categories are wonky, Sunny. And even though it is a memoir, you'll see books miscategorized on Amazon all the time. It is no longer in that fiction category the time I took that screenshot. You have to monitor because Amazon will kick your book out of a category and put it into another category. And so I think that's what happened on that situation. Kathy says, my friend's review got rejected. The words part. The 5-star portion is there, but not the words she wrote. She was told she violated the rules, but I did not ask her to do a review. She may have said she knows me, the author. I don't know. Yeah, Kathy, this happens a lot. We're seeing a lot of reviews get removed on Amazon. One thing we've noticed is if you've ever maybe sent a gift to someone on Amazon, maybe you ship them a gift card or a book or a gift of some sort, and now they're writing a review, right? Amazon has linked that you know that person. So that kind of thing. There's just very little we can do. Barbara says, where's your book when you paid to sponsor on Amazon, self-published or hybrid? So Barbara, I have been both traditionally published and self-published. I run a hybrid publishing company. I don't talk about it a whole lot, but it's authoritypublishing.com. And that's Mark Paul's book is done through Authority. So that's that. I left traditional publishing. It's a whole other conversation, but I didn't like that I was doing all the work and they were reaping all the benefits. So I'm a huge proponent of self-publishing and hybrid publishing as well. Diane, yes, the webinar will be available for review. We will share the recording and the slides later today. Watch your inbox. Lynn says, oh, good. Lynn works with Books Go Social. That is one of the Amazon ad service providers. She says they're really good. I know Dick Richardson's working with them too. That's Lawrence O'Brien. He's actually out of Ireland. And he's worked with a lot of members in our community. Dorothy says, would you please explain the bid on keywords aspect? I don't understand that. So, Dorothy, on the Amazon ads, the keywords are what we're paying for. So, a keyword on business book is going to be extremely competitive. You're going to pay more than $1 per click because it's based on how many other people are bidding on that keyword phrase versus business book about going public, right? That's probably not as competitive. So that might be 20 or 25 cents a click. It depends on how many other people are bidding on that specific keyword phrase because that raises demand and therefore the price goes up. So the less competitive the phrase, the cheaper the click is going to be. I hope that makes sense. Christine says, I've decided to self-publish and formatting my memoir using InDesign. What is the next step for publishing? A hybrid publisher, publishing directly on Amazon? Oh, Christine, that's a big question. A hybrid publisher is a service you pay to produce your book for you. They would do the cover design. Usually they do the editing, the interior design, all the things. It sounds like you're a do-it-yourself first. You can follow all the steps and self-publish your book. They are a lot of steps. A lot of people don't realize how many steps are involved. We have a ton of free blog posts on our site about this. If you're a member in our community, there's also my book, the nonfiction book publishing plan. Sorry, guys. It walks you step by step through how to publish your book, and it's completely free to members. It's in the member content, or you can hop on over to Amazon and buy it, and we'll walk you through the process. Claire, did you really say find 100 keywords? I did, Claire, but that's only if you're going to use Amazon ads. You can't incorporate 100 keywords into your Amazon book sales page, but you can absolutely use those in Amazon ads. Dean, okay, guys, I just want to pause. I'm going to continue taking questions. If you have to go, I know we're coming up at the top of the hour and other people, you have other commitments. I'm going to stay and continue answering questions. But if you need to go, I just want to say thank you for being here today. I hope this was helpful. Recordings and slides are coming out later. I appreciate you spending time with me today. And I'd love to see you at our conference next week. So let's continue questions. Dean, I have a new book up on KDP. It retails for $39.95 after Amazon charges me for printing, takes its share. I only receive $4. Yeah, it's hard to pay for advertising when Amazon gets such a large percentage. Dean, this is the ongoing challenge for every author. Our profit margins are tiny. And I'm going to guess that your book must be in full color or something, that you're only earning back $4 on a $40 book. Full color really changes the game as far as how much you can earn back. I often try to talk authors into going black and white only because, or instead because it will improve your profit margins. So that's really the only alternative, or shrinking the size of the book. You could make some chapters available as a bonus download to try to shorten the book to bring that cost down. But this is absolutely the dilemma for authors. But it sounds like you have a large, and I'm going to guess full color book. Fred says, for the horse race book ad, it shows 7,000 spent and 10,000 in sales. Is that gross sales or net sales? If gross, how much of the 10K did he net? Yeah, great question, Fred. That is not accounting for, I don't believe that is accounting for his sales costs. That's a great question. So he's not making a bunch of money on this book, and he would tell you that, but he's getting a ton of readers. But yes, you do have to factor in your print costs, but he's also selling, almost most of his sales are in ebook format as well. And there's no hard costs when you sell an ebook. Lynn says, does the conference fee different based on our level of membership? Great question, Lynn. Yeah, VIP and thought leader members of the Nonfiction Authors Association attend the conference for free, and authority members get 33% off. We actually sent out the discount code this morning. So if you're an authority member, the discount code is sitting in your inbox right now. And if you're VIP or thought leader, you get to attend the conference for free. You can also upgrade to VIP or thought leader at any time. Kathy says, I've had several people tell me the review wasn't accepted and I couldn't get an, oh, ignore. Okay. Any tricks to getting Amazon to remove an infringing copy? They admit it's a third-party seller removed the Kindle version, but not the print. I've been trying for 2 years. So 2 years, Kathy, is it your actual book or is it somebody that's reprinting your book? Because Amazon's pretty good about removing pirated books. If it's somebody that created a listing of your book, they are not great about removing those. But if it's a pirated copy and they haven't taken that down, I would send a cease and desist letter with an attorney. They will take that seriously. Claire, when will we find out if we have an agent pitch the conference? So applications are through this Sunday. You will be notified on Monday next week. Watch your inbox, Claire. You are welcome, Dorothy. James says, some of my reviewers bought the book, but their reviews aren't marked as verified. Can they go back and get them marked as verified? Unfortunately, no, James. Amazon just doesn't play nicely. Their customer service sucks, to be totally transparent. My book put a different ISBN. Yeah, that's terrible, Kathy. And if you've been trying for 2 years to get it taken down and it's not being taken down, I would send a cease and desist letter. josephperrylaw.com is a great IP attorney that I recommend. And it probably costs you a few $100 to send a letter and get that handled. All right. Did we get it all? All right, you guys. Great questions. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope this was helpful and that you're leaving with some fresh ideas and a little bit of homework to boost your book sales on Amazon. As always, we appreciate you being part of our community. I'd love to see you at some of our future events and just really appreciate you being part of this time with me today. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your week, and I hope to see you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you for attending this webinar by the Nonfiction Authors Association. Since 2010, we have helped thousands of writers learn to write, publish, and promote books that make a difference in the world. If you need support navigating the complexities of the publishing industry and want to reach your author goals faster, you can learn about membership benefits, courses, and additional resources by visiting nonfictionauthorsassociation.com.